Hey Tiger fans, I'm Allie Rogers and thanks for joining us for this week's edition of Death Valley Live. The Tigers are on the road to Raleigh this week to take on the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. This is the ACC opener for both teams. With a breakdown of the pack, here is Alexia Grevious.
Hey Tiger fans, I'm Alexia Grevious and I'm back with this week's opponent preview. Tonight, the Tigers head to Carter Finley Stadium to take on the NC State Wolfpack. The Tigers currently lead the series 52-28-1. The series dates back to 1899 when the Tigers beat the Pack in their 16th game in school history. Before 2011, Clemson had won 7 straight games against the Pack. Last year's game was the highest scoring in the history of the series and Clemson's highest scoring game in ACC play in terms of combined points. With a 62-48 victory, an ACC record for touchdown responsibility in a game was set by our own Taj Boyd with 5 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns. The Wolfpack enter the game 2-0 under a new head coach, Dave Doran, returning 10 starters. Clemson goes into the game with a 2-0 record as well as a number 3 AP poll ranking. Coach Dabo Swinney's squad broke the Clemson Thursday night hex last season. As you might remember, the Tigers rolled into Winston-Salem, North Carolina and knocked off the home-standing Demon Deacons 42-13 behind big games from Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins. I'm excited to tune into ESPN tonight at 7:30 to see our Tigers play against the NC State Wolfpack. I hope you do the same as we cheer on the team to a victory in Raleigh.
Thanks, Alexia. Well, if you're like me, the significance of years may stand out sometimes more so than dates. 1981, we think national championship. 2011, the ACC championship comes to mind. But as Katie Barnes is here to explain, today, September 19th, is a date that all Clemson fans should revere.
If you're like me and most Tiger fans, when you get your schedule every year, what you mostly focus on is who we're playing, when's homecoming, when's family weekend. But we really need to focus on the dates of the game. And for every Tiger fan, the date of NC State, September 19th, should be ingrained in all of our minds.
September 19th is the winningest day in Clemson history on a percentage basis. 9-1 overall record, and it's really a great day in Clemson history. Going back to 1942, Death Valley opened on September the 19th, 1942, with a victory over Presbyterian, and there's been some great victories in Clemson history. Going back to Frank Howard beating a 12th-ranked North Carolina team in 1959, which was the start of a great season for Clemson. The win over Georgia in 1981, a 4th-ranked Georgia team that spurred us on to the national championship. That was on September 19th. And David Treadwell's kick to beat Georgia in 1987 was on September 19th. My best memory of September 19th was the 1981 Georgia game. That was just an incredible atmosphere. Now, the stands weren't as big as they are today because we didn't have the north side upper deck, but the intensity for that game, the rivalry was at its fullest. You had Jeff Davis against Herschel Walker, and that was just a man-on-man war in itself that day. It was a great defensive game that Clemson won. 13-3. Perry Tuttle scored the only touchdown of the game. When Clemson won that game, they believed that they really could go on and go to great heights. Don't know that we said we could win the national championship after winning that game, but we certainly knew we had a chance to have a special season.
1981 is a special season indeed, and what 2013 and like that one did, we'll have to wait and see. Tonight's game is a homecoming of sorts for Tiger defensive backs coach Mike Reed. He's in his first year here with the Clemson football program, but spent the last 6 years at NC State as their defensive backs coach. With more on his first trip back to Raleigh, here's Jessica Jefferson.
Hey Tiger Nation, it's Jessica. After a long week of rest, our boys head up the road to NC State. Now, as you guys know, with coaching staffs, it changes all the time. So this year will be a little different with Coach Mike Reed heading back to his old stomping grounds, but in Clemson Orange. In less than a year, Coach Mike Reed has quickly established himself here in Tigertown. He has done so through a strong work ethic and the ability to relate to his players.
The guys here, are very hungry, and it was one of those situations where being an ex-player who's actually played the position, I think that was one of the instant credibilities that I have these young men. A couple of times when they're running wind sprints at the end of practice, I jump in and I run with them. And it's one of those things where it's like, wow, we've never had anybody do that, you know. And when they see their coach do things that so many times that, you know, they're being told to do, and he actually does it, so they're like, wow, you know, he understands it. Well, yes, I do. I've been there, done it, you know, and I still, like I said, to this day, I try to do it. And just being real, you know, letting them know that, hey, most of the things that they've gone through or going through now, I've been through, and we can learn from each other.
So tonight's trip to Raleigh can be a teaching experience for Coach Reed. And while he focuses on the tasks at hand, he realizes there will be some emotion when he sees his former players.
I've forged great relationships with those young men on that team, and I'm happy for them. It's going to be a very touching situation for me because I have not seen them in a while. I've spoken to them on the phone, and like I said, I love them young men, and it's going to be hard, but at the same time, you know, football is football. It's just another game.
Make no mistake, Coach Reed is all in, and he says that after going against the Tigers on the recruiting trail, he is more than happy to be selling the Clemson family.
Anywhere you go, you see orange. People are always talking about Clemson. It's definitely a family atmosphere, and, you know, as being an outsider for the last 6 years, you see why kids come here and commit to Clemson. You never know how strong a rubber band is until you pull it. And Clemson definitely pulls on you to be a better person, a better coach, a better family, and so on.
Thanks, Jessica. The Tigers will be putting their number 3 AP ranking on the line tonight. And just like you and the rest of the nation, I'll be tuned in to ESPN at 7:30 to see if the Tigers will move to 3-0 overall, 1-0 in the ACC. This wraps up today's show. Our next show will be headed your way Saturday, September 28th. It will be homecoming here at Clemson University as the Wake Forest Demon Deacons come to town. For Alexia Grievous, Katie Barnes, and Jessica Jefferson, I'm Allie Rogers, and this has been Death Valley Live.